I found it very hard to fit in and belong. And I truly tried in many ways. I tried to fit in with my classmates, with my family, my sisters, my friends, and with the world. You know, we are born programmed, told what to do. Success and happiness was defined by the clap, the applause, the trophies, the grades you get in school, how kind you are, the service you provide, the smile even if you don't feel like it. But at one point of time, you start realizing that you could really change everything by deciding. You decide how your happiness looks like, not by everybody else.
Fatima Alloghani, it is a pleasure to have you today. Your story is inspiring, and behind the scenes, you said something that I'm going to actually start with. You said that sitting in front of the camera is not your thing. You'd rather be out in the world making a change. But people told you that your story is not yours anymore. It's the story of the people. And you're actually making an impact on so many women and so many people who are being inspired by you every single day. You are the first Emirati women adventure rider. You have, gone... I have to look at the data from Dubai to Germany, 7,000 kilometers on your own, riding solo motorcycles. Where is this coming from? How did the journey start? Because it is a huge journey.
I see. Just a small correction. What I meant to say at the beginning or before the podcast, when I went out on this solo riding, I didn't want anybody to know. I didn't think it would be something. And it was quite challenging for me to come forward in public and speak about it, be in the media. I had to have a very, very private conversation with my brothers and my family before I come forward. But like you rightly said, I would rather be out there traveling, discovering, and finding myself maybe, and trusting the world again after what I had been through. Have you heard the story about the penguin who wandered alone after losing his partner?
No.
So recently this video became viral, and it was taken 15 years ago. We are not talking about the penguin, but there are a lot of resemblance. And apparently this penguin, unlike any other penguin, decided to wander alone towards the mountains while everybody else was wandering around their colonies and going for feeding. And it was unprecedented that probably he's going to face death going to the mountains instead of the sea for feeding. But each one of us, we have our own stories and our own pain. And we will not pursue something crazy like this unless it comes from real pain. Some people call it escape, but I would like to call it finding myself again. So I've been riding motorcycle for the past 3 years. I did nearly 30,000 kilometers, 27 countries. But what made the difference is when I made a decision last year to quit my job, ride my motorcycle, and just ride to nowhere. And I found myself crossing Iraq all the way to Europe through Turkey and Bulgaria, Serbia. I did a little bit of a tour in the Balkan. There was something beautiful about Bosnia. Resonates with me beside the nature and the mosques, cathedrals. And what really touched my heart is the graveyards I saw in every corner. The idea was for me to cross all the way to Morocco. And unfortunately, I fell in Germany and broke my arm last September, disrupted the trip. I was struggling in the past 4 months not to ride. But recently, 2 weeks ago, I did my first ride after the break. And it was to Doha, Qatar, nearly 1,200 kilometers back and forth. And it was amazing, coming back.
Welcome back.
Even stronger.
Even stronger. That's amazing. And I will ask you a question I'm sure that many people have asked. Why alone? I'll give you an example. You know, I'm not a motorcycle person at all. I'm very, very, very scared of them. But I have friends who when they ride together in groups. And I feel like there's sort of like a social community, that a sense of belonging that comes out of those riders. They understand some language, they understand some things. So my point of interest here is, why would you do it alone as a woman and go through all of these? I'm sure it wasn't a walk in the park.
As I said in my speech today, earlier, I got through it very quickly because it takes a lot of courage for someone to reveal themselves on the stage and share their real story, intimate, inner stories with others. And I always felt different, Hanan. Since the day I was born, I chose different things. I look a little bit different too. And I made a lot of unprecedented decisions in life, let alone riding motorcycle in my 40s. I found it very hard to fit in and belong. And I truly tried in many ways. I tried to fit in with my classmates, with my family, my sisters, my friends, with work, and with the world. But no matter how much I tried, it was not good enough. And the further I tried, the more I realized it was not me. It was not me. And in solitude, after trying the silence in the pandemic, I found myself. And I started learning more about me without the noise. I was always busy doing everything for everyone. Mm. And it was for the first time in that stand, in silence, I started doing things for me. After 45 years. You know, we are born programmed, told what to do. Success and happiness was defined by the clap, the applause, the trophies, the grades you get in school. How kind you are, the service you provide, the smile even if you don't feel like it. But at one point of time, you start realizing that you could really change everything by deciding. You decide how your happiness look like, not by everybody else. Because at a point of time, I held a very, very strong position. I was a change maker in Emiratization. I led great projects like Expo 2020 programs. The recent NAFIS, integrating more than 2,000 Emiratis into work.
Amazing.
But with that appraise and applause, I still felt not happy. Everything looked perfect in the outside, but in the inside, I wasn't happy. And this was one of the reasons why I decided to leave everything just to find myself. And I'm still not yet finished.
But it takes a lot of courage to make that change and to make that step and to say, you know what, I'm going to walk out at this door, I'm going to put on this outfit, I'm going to ride, and I'm not sure, you've walked through so many countries. How was the experience when it comes to that? Was it scary?
It was less scary than not wanting to be in this world anymore. I had to do something, or else I'm not going to be here. Women sometimes battle with a lot. They carry everything and everyone. And they always want to look like a superwoman. Good girl at home. Good student, good wife, good mom. Good citizen. And sometimes it's just a lot. Some of us, we battle with depression, we battle with ADHD, some neurological mental matters that maybe nobody understands, and we feel shamed by them. We don't even understand that ourselves. It takes time for us to figure out how to do with us, let alone everybody around you. I battled with depression earlier, postnatal depression with my first daughter. And recently, before the trip, I found out that I was an ADHD too.
Same. I got diagnosed at 38.
At 38, see? And everything made sense when I read more about this ADHD thing, because I didn't know why I was doing things the way they are, why I was so hyperactive, why I would have a very bad fall in depression for days. And I would put triple efforts just to cover it because I needed to go to work the next day. I needed to show up for my kids the next day, looking like everything is all right. It's exhausting. So fear and inner challenge, most importantly, accepting yourself and taking it as it comes, was one of the few things that I really started exercising in this solo trip. In the void and the silence, you stand with yourself. You spend time with you, without the noise and without anybody telling you about if you're right or wrong, or if you have the right to feel angry or not, and without telling you who you can be. So it's ultimate freedom to be and to become, I think, when you travel solo. Although I was disappointed for years from the closest people around me, people I really wanted to do the world for, on the road, I found the kindest stranger people ever, really. Like, not knowing me, and for nothing, they would drop everything just to help me.
Wow.
You know, the bike that I ride is a big bike. It's like 300 or 350 kilograms. So if I drop it, I cannot pick it up alone. And sometimes I will get lost and go for directions. And anybody at any age, at any point of time, they will just stop to help me. I had 3 falls. One was in India, the Himalayas, one in leaving Iraq towards Turkey, and the latest one was in Germany. You see the difference, 3 different continents, but they are the same kind, strange people helping someone they don't know. So that helped me to build up trust again in this world and build better trust in humanity.
Wow. What's one thing that you found in one of the countries that you weren't expecting?
Iraq was a big surprise.
Why?
Well, I felt like they are exceptional people. It's like the old Arabs, the hospitable ones, that we forgot how to be, you know, when you compete to take someone home. At the beginning, Hanan, I was so scared. I was thinking, oh, what does this guy want from me? And why are they wanting me to come home with them? And then soon I have realized, with the little they have, with the challenges they faced in the past years, because of war, and so they did not forget their humanities and their kindness. And then they're extremely generous, the Iraqis.
True.
So it was one of the countries that really took my heart. So Iraq is the one that I really think is amazing. Not always the road, because sometimes we end up in not a very well paved road or unfinished bridges, and you have to just figure yourself out. On the road, people made space because they've seen this motorcycle coming from the UAE with the Dubai plate number. Thumbs up, especially when they know that I'm a girl.
So can they identify you, that you're a woman?
At the beginning, no, because as you could see, I dress up like a robot. So there's no sexiness in adventure motorcycle riders. And the minute I remove my helmet, they say a girl. And then they get really like skeptical and surprised. But somewhere deep inside, I could see admiration of this courageous woman taking motorcycle, crossing around the world.
Wow.
But not at the beginning, though.
No. But it takes a lot to break that space, right?
When you don't care anymore about what people think, you just go on your way, finding your own happiness, and you decide what perspective you want to put this in. Either you can sit upset about it and make stories, or you can make it the best adventure ever.
100%. I think one of the things, like, Would the family worry back home? I'm sure they were worried.
My daughter actually told me before I left, "Mommy, isn't this crazy? Like something wrong could happen. You might not come back."
How old is she?
She is 17. She was 16 last year.
Bless her.
And I found myself telling her, "I don't know what am I doing, but if I don't do this, I'll fail you before I fail myself."
I'm sure she's very proud.
Well, 6 days later, she calls me when I reach Erbil, and she says, "Mommy, I'm very proud of you." And I said, "What changed?" And she said, "I told my friends in school about you riding motorcycle alone all the way to Iraq. And they said, 'Oh my God, your mom is brave.'"
And peer pressure is all they want at that age. At the same time, it's one of the biggest priorities. But I'm sure she was proud even before that happened. She just needed the validation, because I think maybe the anxiety took over that something could happen.
Very true. My brother was a different story, because when the video went viral from Erbil and channels, newspapers started contacting me for a cover, I had to break the news to one of my most respected brothers. I have 10 brothers and 10 sisters.
Yes, mashallah.
And he was ranting crazy on the phone for 30 minutes. And I remember the conversation start as in, "Hello, I would like to talk to you, but as a friend, not as a sister." And then I told him, "By the way, I ride a motorcycle, and I made it from Dubai to Iraq." And he just lost it. I let him calm down for 1 week. And then I asked him for a coffee to explain to him my passion about motorcycle and what grounded freedom I really, display in place. For example, I keep the Shela. I don't ride with others. I don't ride in the evening. So he calmed down a little bit. Maybe we still, 1 year later, we don't have conversations about motorcycles, but I was at dinner with him yesterday. But I could say his approval is his silence, and that's his style.
I think there's a lot of fear and prejudice and taboos that comes with doing something that's different, coming out of the ordinary. Even if I come from a family of doctors,
MashaAllah.
and pharmacists, everybody, I was the only one not to go into med school. And I remember, my grandmother saying things like, "You failed and you didn't do this." And it's said with love, by the way. It's not said with the intention to hurt or to guilt, but it's said with fear of everybody else is a pharmacist or a doctor, but you're not. So that means that they're the ones who are going to be more successful and you're not going to be. And that's not what happened at the end. But I understand that when you want to break a cycle or when you want to break a taboo, it's very difficult to go through these boundaries.
But beside that, Hanan, have you realized that we are always tagged and valued because of our education, positions,
Of course.
and
Achievements.
salaries,
Yeah.
the
100%.
house you stay in, the car you drive, the watch you wear?
100%.
So
And
what-
we fall into these prejudices, all of us.
Unfortunately, but then at one point of time, you will ask yourself the question, the $1 million question, what are you worth without any of them?
100%. One of my programs that I do with the mothers in my community is called The Story of Me. So every month we gather around and we talk about, you're not, all of us are mothers, daughters, wives, children, whatever, But what happens when you're no longer working in this company, or your children have grown up and gone somewhere? You no longer have a partner or a husband. You no longer have that business or that job. How do you identify yourself? And the level of depth and conversations that comes out of these mothers is exactly what you're saying now. And I can't wait for them to see this episode, because this is exactly what we're doing.
And it's still Hanan, by the way. So when I decided to quit everything, I was a director of Emiratization for a group of company. I made good money. I had a very good lifestyle. I bought a bag, traveled, thought about when is my next restaurant and holidays and next buy. And when I left everything to find myself in this trip, I've realized people around me changed. And in every phase of life, you will realize once you change, people change around you.
Yeah. or your perspective of them changes as well. Yani maybe some people don't change. Some do, of course, but some don't. But the way that you seek their validation, for example, is no longer there. The way that you seek approval is no longer there. The way that you connect on deeper levels or not, it starts to become more transparent.
You want to hear the best of all of it?
Yes, please.
I never had a good relationship with my mom. I always made trouble. I drove her crazy. And after I did this solo trip to Iraq and I came back, I was so scared to go home because of what my brothers will say the rest of the 9. And my mother actually told them for the first time ever in my life, I accept her the way she is, with all the trouble she brings. And I love her the same as each one of you. And I want her to come home with head high and none of you say a word for her. And that, actually, Hanan, changed everything. I was never close to my mom like I am right now, just because she could see me and accept me the way I am.
This is big. I mean, if there's one game that you can gain, this is the game. You know, there are, when we teach in the mental health space and we talk about all this, so many of us, all of us, we have an inner child. That inner child is wounded because of acceptance, differences, things like this. And people think that when you tell them somebody like, your hair is this, your nose is that, your teeth, you know, simple things, they're motivating you to get better. Or why did you not get the good grades? Or why did you not become an athlete like this person? You think that you're just making a comment, but you're actually leaving wounds and traumas that
have impacts, yeah.
Most people don't reconcile that. Most people do not have the chance or get the chance to start again on good terms. Nothing is forgotten, but the fact that you can take the slate and write a new one, this is huge. And I'm so grateful to hear someone like you say something like this. And I think it paves the way for so many women to take that leap of faith, that jump or that risk that could be a taboo, but it would make everything else better.
I always conclude my advice to women by saying that you don't need a big leap. You just need to take the first step, and everything changes. Really.
I think we can end on that note because I think we're both in danger of crying again. We're already been tearing up. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
You are an inspiration. I'm so grateful and so blessed to have had the honor of sitting and having this conversation with you. And I'm hoping it's the first of many, inshallah.
Inshallah. It takes a real person to get a real conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fatima Alloghani, the first Emirati woman adventure rider.
Solo adventure rider.
Solo adventure rider.
Yeah.
The first solo Emirati woman adventure rider. Bless. I can't wait to see what you're going to do next. Thank you for being here.
And I'm watching what you're going to change next.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Nice, my pleasure.